I'm Chuck Thompson, and this is the dressing room of the Western Conference champion Baltimore Colts. The season is over, a season that saw a Baltimore Colt team post a 12-2 record to win its third Western Conference title, clinching it with still 3 weeks remaining in the season. A season that saw a heavily favored Baltimore Colt team meet the Cleveland Browns for the championship of the world on Sunday, December the 27th. Remember? The scene for this encounter is Municipal Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio, where loyal Baltimore fans, 8,000 strong, including bandsmen and cheerleaders, are on hand to root for their beloved heroes. Cleveland threatens in the first quarter with Frank Ryan passing. Baltimore linebacker Don Shinnick makes a leaping interception to muffle the Browns' offensive. John Unitas launches a Colt counterattack. He hits Raymond Berry on a square-out pattern, and the lanky end races 23 yards for the longest gain of the game thus far. Unitas looks to pass again, but tight Cleveland coverage forces Johnny to run. The NFL's most valuable player darts to the Cleveland 25 as Baltimore poses the first scoring threat of the day. The drive carries into the second period as Unitas throws on 3rd and 6. Mackey gets the ball, but not the first down, and the Colts send in their field goal kicking team. The wind makes the snapback react like a knuckleball, and Bob Boyd is unable to handle it. It's a bad break for Baltimore as a potential 3-point lead is blown away at the 19-yard line. Gino Marchetti spearheads a Baltimore blitz as he bats a Frank Ryan pass into the air and almost intercepts it in what could possibly have been a Colt touchdown. Baltimore attacks again. Unitas spears Jimmy Orr on a quick slant pattern that puts the ball on the Cleveland 46. The Colts are moving as Unitas throws to John Mackey. Mackey can't hold the ball, which bounces into the air and lands in the hands of Cleveland's Vince Costello. Again, a mere matter of inches frustrates another Baltimore threat. The first half ends in a scoreless tie. The second half is all Cleveland. Led by Frank Ryan and Gary Collins, who collaborated on 3 touchdown passes, the Browns swept to an astonishing upset victory. As Bert Bell used to say, any given team on any given Sunday. And on December the 27th, a great Cleveland team beat an outstanding Baltimore team for the World's Championship. But the Colts are still best in the West. Behind me, Colt equipment manager Fred Schuback is getting everything prepared for winter storage. When these trunks are opened again at training camp in Westminster, Maryland, a new football season will begin for the Colts, and with it, the defense of their 1964 title. To do this, the Colts will start again in 1965 with a clean slate. Many familiar faces will be gone, and others will take their place. Past achievements will be replaced by the new, and new desires and ambitions will come alive in the hearts and the minds of the Baltimore Colts. But no matter what the future holds, the honors that came to the Colts in 1964 as they won their third Western Conference title will not be forgotten. Johnny Unitas, most valuable player in the National Football League. Lenny Moore, comeback player of the year. Raymond Berry, greatest pass receiver in the history of the National Football League. All-Pro honors to Bobby Boyd, the fleet defensive halfback of the Colts for the first time in his 5-year NFL career. For Jim Parker, it was his 7th year of recognition as All-Pro. And for the 9th year in a row, everybody's All-Pro, Gino Marchetti. Only the Colts championship years of 58 and 59 produced more All-Pros. And to Don Shula, recognition as NFL Coach of the Year.
Hi, Chuck. Come on in.
Hello, Coach. How are you?
Fine.
Cleveland again, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Listen, Don, in looking at the films as many times as you have, did you see anything that would make you think that you'd have to make, well, wholesale changes for next year?
Well, I think our immediate concern, Chuck, is the fact that we've got to replace Gino Marchetti and Bill Pellington. We played real poorly in this title game, but we're going to have to throw that out because we had a fine year. We ended up with 12 victories and 2 losses. And as a whole, I was real proud of our Baltimore Colts football team. And although we blew the championship game, we're not going to do anything drastic. We're just going to try to replace Gino and Bill if that's possible.
Coach, I don't mean to harp on the Brown game, but could you say that there was any kind of a parallel between, well, the championship game with the Browns and your opening game with the Vikings?
You're going to talk about the Viking game, too, I see. I'm getting it from both ends here. Actually, there was quite a bit of a parallel between the 2 ball games because in coaching, I thought that we were ready for the championship game. We worked hard preparation-wise, and same for the first game of the season against the Vikings. I thought that after a fine preseason, we're ready to play that one. But as it turned out, in both games, we got beat every way that you could get beat. There wasn't any question about it. The Browns beat us and the Vikings beat us. But the important thing, I think, after our Viking loss, which was the first game of the season, we got ourselves ready to play the Packers, which was our second ball game.
For the second week in a row, the Green Bay Packers are at home. In last week's season opener, they beat the defending champions, the Chicago Bears, 23-12, and are looking for 2 in a row. But the Colts have other ideas. Early in the first quarter, Unitas goes for broke with a bomb to Lenny Moore. Lenny scores, and the Colts lead 7-0. Now it's the Packers' turn, deep in Colt territory. Starr hands off to Horning, and the Packer ace goes in for the score to make it 7-7 as the first quarter ends. In the second quarter, it's Colt ball on the Packer 28. Moore, the ball carrier. Now watch this block by John Unitas on Willie Davis. Who says quarterbacks don't block? With the ball on the 4, Lenny takes it in, and the Colts lead 14-7. Behind by 7, the Packers call on their heavy artillery. Jim Taylor carries through the Colts for 30 yards. Jim Welsh forces him out of bounds on the 1. Three plays later, Horning goes in for the score. His try for the extra point is wide to the right. This indeed is a turning point for the Colts, who lead 14-13. No sooner can you say, "Go, Colts, go," than Unitas completes to John Mackey, who takes it over his shoulder for the TD, and the Colts up their lead 21-13 as the first half ends. In the third quarter, neither team can get rolling, and with less than 2 minutes remaining, Bart Starr goes back to pass. But with his primary receiver covered by Lenny Lyles, Starr keeps and goes to the Green Bay 46. Star hands off to fullback Jim Taylor, who goes in for the score. And at the end of the third quarter, it's Colts 21, Green Bay 20. In the fourth quarter, interceptions keynote the Colts' success. With 2nd and 5 on the Colt 28 and within field goal range, Star goes for broke. He throws for Max McGee, but an alert Jerry Logan gets a hand on it for a big interception. With 2 minutes remaining and again in field goal range, Star tries to hit Max McGee, but Don Shinnick intercepts. This clutch play was referred to by Coach Shula as the key to the Colts' winning ways. Baltimore has its first win of the 1964 season, and now it's back home to prepare for the world champion Chicago Bears. A capacity crowd of more than 56,000 is on hand at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium to cheer the Colts to victory over the Bears. Both clubs are 1-1 for the year. A victory today over the Bears could mean a lot to the Colts. The Colts get rolling in the first period. Lenny Moore hits the right side for a first down on the Bear 45. The Unitas to Berry combination comes to life. John finds Raymond open at the goal line, and the Colts lead 7-0. Trailing 10-0 in the second quarter, Billy Wade, under terrific pressure from Marchetti, Reese, and Stonebreaker, just gets his pass away, but Mike Ditka fumbles. Jimmy Welsh recovers for Baltimore and is pulled down by Johnny Morris and Ditka. Unitas wastes no time. He takes the snap from Szymanski and with great pass protection unloads the bomb. Jimmy Orr has Benny McRae beaten and goes in for the score. The Colts increase their lead 17-0. Later in the first half, Jim Parker and Alex Sandusky open a huge hole for Lenny Moore. The Reading Rocket slips through for the score, giving the Colts their largest halftime lead of the year, 24-0. To start the third quarter, rookie sensation Tony Lawrick takes the kickoff deep in the end zone. And with fine open field blocks from Gilbert, Kerouac, Sullivan, and Petties, Lawrick races 71 yards to the Bear 34 for the longest return of the year by a Colt. John Unitas, who has the Midas touch today, glitters again, this time to Jerry Hill. The rugged fullback bowls his way into pay dirt for the fourth touchdown of the day, and the Colts now lead 31-0. The crowd senses a rout. The Colts' domination carries into the third quarter as John Unitas completes to Tom Matty on the Bear 12 for a first down. The Bears can't believe their eyes. Tony Lawrick, the big rookie, blasts over the top, and the Colts are up on the scoreboard again, 38-0. The Colts remember the 57-0 drubbing they suffered 2 years ago at the hands of these same Bears, and revenge is mighty sweet. In the fourth period, Gary Quazzo at quarterback pitches to Butch Wilson in the corner of the end zone, and the Colts are on top 45-0. This is without a doubt the greatest single effort by a Colt team since the championship years of 58 and 59. But this is not the end. Rookie fullback Joe Don Looney takes the ball on a handoff from Quazzo and goes all the way. 58 yards for the score, and the Colts win big, stunning the world champion Bears 52-0. This win puts the Colts in second place in the West, 1/2 game behind the Los Angeles Rams. And who's next to do battle with the high-flying Baltimore Colts? None other than those same Los Angeles Rams. Led by rookie quarterback Bill Munson, they came, they saw, but they did not conquer. The defense saw to that with plays like this. Let's watch. Jerry Logan blitzing fullback Ben Wilson right off his feet. Marchetti, Pellington, and Shinnick are too much for quarterback Munson. And if that isn't enough, here's more of the same by Messrs. Stonebreaker and Shinnick as viewed by our National Beer ground level camera. This well-rounded Colt team was just too much for the young team from the West Coast. The Colts won hands down 35-20 to go on top in the West. The following week, the Colts are home again, this time to the St. Louis Cardinals. With the Cards on top in the East and the Colts in first place in the West, the game is billed as a possible preview to the championship of the NFL. But to the Colts, it was just another must-win in their streak toward the Western Conference crown. With plays like this 80-yard TD sprint by Tom Matty, the longest of the season by a Colt, Baltimore won decisively 47-27. But there was no let-up. No sooner had the dust settled at Memorial Stadium than those Green Bay Packers were back, ready to prove that their previous loss to the Colts was a fluke and would not happen again. But it did happen again, and this classic run by Lenny Moore helped make it possible. Behind a key block by Bob Vogel, Lenny gets past the line but is met by all-pro tackle Henry Jordan. It looks as if Henry's got him, but Lenny breaks loose. Defensive back Jesse Whittenden says, "I'll get him." But all he gets is a memory. Lenny goes in for the score. A great effort by a great all-pro, Lenny Moore, as the Colts beat the Green Bay Packers 24-21. The following week, Baltimore shut out Detroit 34-0 for its 6th consecutive triumph. San Francisco invaded Memorial Stadium before another sellout crowd of enthusiastic fans eager to see their Colts win their 7th in a row. The Colts specialty teams were really ready, as shown on this kickoff. The 49ers fumble the kick, and Alex Hawkins is all over number 39, Kermit Alexander, at the goal line. Here's all-pro Bobby Boyd intercepting a Brody pass intended for Bernie Casey and returning it 47 yards to the San Francisco 25. Not satisfied just to get the ball for the offense, Steve Stonebreaker grabs a loose ball and storms into the end zone to chalk up a TD for the defense. And this high-powered Colt defense limits the 49ers to just one TD, winning 37-7, their 7th consecutive victory, a new Colt record. Next stop on the Colt steamroller is Wrigley Field, Chicago, and the Bears. Highlight of a smashing 40-24 Baltimore victory is this 60-yard dash by Tony Lawrence. $60,000 rabid football fans flocked to Memorial Stadium in Baltimore to see if the Western Conference leaders, the Baltimore Colts, can avenge their only defeat of the season by the Minnesota Vikings. Since the opening day loss to the Vikes, the Colts have won 8 in a row. Defense dominates a scoreless first half. In the third quarter, it's Colts ball. John Unitas drills John Mackey over the middle for a gain of 23 yards. When the Vikings stop them, the Colts summon Lou Michaels, whose 35-yard field goal puts Baltimore on the scoreboard 3-0. Halfway into the third quarter, the Colts are moving again. Here's a familiar page from the Colts storybook. Johnny Unitas drops a perfect bomb to Lenny Moore, who pulls it in for his 15th TD of the year and the 13th straight game in which he has scored a touchdown. Lenny Moore, comeback player of 1964. There they are, Mr. Throw and Mr. Go, and the Colts lead 10-0. And now Fran the Scrambler goes to work. From his own 37, he aims for Tommy Mason, but Steve Stonebreaker deflects the toss, and Bill Pellington, who came into the league as a free agent and stayed for 12 great years, intercepts for the Colts and returns to the Viking 28. The crowd cheers a job well done by number 36. With time running out in the third quarter, Tarkenton tries again to put the Vikes back in the game. He avoids a rush from Bracey and Logan and fires on target to Hal Bedsell, who goes in for the score. The third quarter ends with the Colts on top, 10-7. The Vikings are on the go again in the fourth period. The National Beer slow-motion camera shows the power of fullback Bill Brown as he bowls to the Baltimore 16. Now for the clincher. Tommy Mason goes around right end for the score. The upstart Vikings go ahead 14-10. From his own end zone, Tony Lorick brings it out to the Colt 27. On the next play, John Unitas completes to Jimmy Orr on the angle in. Orr fumbles, but Alex Hawkins pounces on it for a gain of 35 yards. The Vikings hold firm. It's now 4th down and 8 yards to go, and the crowd is yelling, "Go, Johnny, go." And that's just what he does. Unitas flips to Lenny Moore, who goes 11 long yards for the first down, and the Colts are rolling. The fans want a TD, and here it comes. You say to whom? Unitas says to who? Captain Who, that is, as Alex Hawkins makes a diving catch in the end zone to tally the winning touchdown. Final score, Baltimore 17, Minnesota 14, as the Colts avenge their only defeat of the season. The Baltimore Colts carry a 9-game winning streak into the Coliseum in Los Angeles. A victory can clinch the Western Conference crown. The Colts want this victory badly. It'll be their first conference title since 1959, which was also won here in the Coliseum. And without further delay, Johnny Unitas gets things rolling in that direction with his now famous bomb. John Mackey gets behind Bobby Smith, but is overtaken by Aaron Martin on the Ram 18 after a 62-yard completion. Behind blocks from Parker, Szymanski, and Freese, Lenny Moore goes in from the 18 to score his 16th TD of the year in his 14th straight game. The Colts lead 7-0 as the first quarter ends. Magnificent blocking by the Baltimore line makes the fullback draw play work to perfection. Jerry Hill goes up the middle for another score. The Colts are on top, 14-0. Early in the fourth quarter, this young Ram team shows signs of coming to life. Munson fires to rookie Bucky Pope, who takes it in, but the Colts lead 14-7. It's 17-7 in the fourth quarter, but Unitas wants more. The clock is running in a game that can mean the Western Conference title for the Colts. Unitas hands off to Matty on the option, and Matty passes to John Mackey for a gain of 22 yards. Pass interference makes it goal to go from the 1. Unitas gives to the rookie from Arizona State, Tony Lorick, who plows into the end zone, and the Colts have done it. They have beaten the Rams 24-7 to win their third Western Conference title in the last 7 years. A great tribute to the Baltimore Colts and especially to head coach Don Shula.
Well, Don, to win a divisional title your second year as a head coach, I know had to be a great thrill.
What were some of your thoughts right after that ball game?
I was very happy as I was being carried off the field by some of our ball players, and I was still happy when they threw me into the shower afterwards, along with Carol Rosenblum and some of the assistant coaches. And later on, I got the game ball, and that's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Wonderful job. As a matter of fact, the Colts didn't let down any. We traveled up to San Francisco and met the 49ers, and your team made it 11 victories in a row with a win over San Francisco.
We happened to hang on and win that one. Although our offense didn't play real good ball, our defense did a fine job, and they had been improving all year long, and this pretty much capped off a fine performance by them. I was very pleased with the way that our defense has come along.
At that point, Don, did you think you had a chance maybe of completing the year without a defeat?
Well, it's a little hard to tell. You always are hopeful, and you want the momentum to carry over, but as it turned out, we didn't.
Well, that's right. We came back against Detroit, and as I looked at that football game, Don, the Lions seemed to have very little trouble with us and won handily.
Well, I think it pretty much is a story of making some mistakes and all of them hurting you, and this is what we did in this Lion ball game. We made mistakes and they hurt us, and we played poorly and lost, whereas the week before against the 49ers, we played poorly and won.
But in that Lion game, something I'll never forget was the pass to Jimmy Orr and the great run that Jimmy tagged on the end of that, which was very important to the overall Baltimore Colt football picture last year, because this play, through a fumble, enabled Lenny Moore to keep his consecutive game touchdown streak alive.
You're right.
With the ball on the Colt 39, Unitas throws to Jimmy Orr on the Lion 46. And watch these moves. The stop-motion camera highlights the action as Jim Parker blasts Dennis Gaubitz and Bobby Thompson. Bruce Maher finally catches him, or fumbles the ball into the end zone where alert Lenny Moore falls on it for the TD. But the Colts lose to a Lion team that was really up for this one, 31-14, their first loss since opening day. In the season's finale, it was a foggy day at Memorial Stadium, but the fog served only to shield the tears in the eyes of some 60,000 Baltimore fans as they listened to these words of thanks from all-time greats Bill Pellington and Gino Marchetti, who were playing the final game of their illustrious careers at Memorial Stadium.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has made this day just the most memorable thing in my whole life. And I'd like to thank all the fans in Baltimore for having me over all these years and honoring me today.
Now number 89, Gino Marchetti.
Everybody spoke here tonight about the thrills that I've given them. But nobody's ever said the thrills that I've had on this football field for 13 years. I appreciate it. All I can say, I'll never forget this day. God bless you all. Let's get to the rescue.
And get them they did, 45-17. In so doing, 2 NFL records were broken by Raymond Berry and Lenny Moore. Lenny scores his 19th and 20th touchdowns to lead the National Football League in scoring, breaking the old record held by Green Bay's Jimmy Taylor. He also extended his record-breaking scoring streak to 17 consecutive league games. Truly, this great Colt veteran deserved the honor of Comeback Player of the Year. Raymond Berry's 5 catches against the Redskins brings his lifetime total to 506, making Berry the #1 pass receiver of all time in the National Football League. In defeating the Redskins, the Colts put the topper on an unbelievable season that saw them win 12 and lose 2 to become best in the West. Best in the West has been another National Beer sports presentation brought to you by Colt 45 and National Beer.